There have been some great storylines in this year's Diamond League season so far. The women's steeplechase, women's pole vault and the men's 400 metres have been among the highlights for me. Faith Kipyegon has confirmed her legendary status, somehow reaching even higher peaks than before in setting 2 world records in the women's 15 and 5. Even the women's discus, which has been dominated for so long by Sandra Perkovic, has produced some good contests. But my favourite event by far has been the men's 5,000 metres. As recently as 2019, World Athletics was considering removing the distance from its programme, but I'm grateful they backed down to a wave of fan and athlete pressure. And this year, so far, I write this on July 10th, has been the best season for the event in my living memory. On the Diamond League circuit, there have been 3 5,000 metre races and 1 3,000 metre race. Bear with me here, but the shorter distance offers athletes points towards qualification for the 5,000 metre Diamond League final, and thus is considered to be a 5,000 metres even though it's obviously not as far. The 3,000 metre, 5,000 metre was run in Doha, the Diamond League's first event in May, and it got off to a flyer with Ethiopia's Lemaitre Girma, a steeplechase specialist, beating his countrymen, the Olympic 10,000 metre champion Solomon Barega and Berihu Origari. All three forced a fast pace that proved too quick for Olympic steeplechase champion Sofiane Albikali to hang onto, and Girma won the resulting dust-up to clock 7 minutes 26 for a meeting record. Then came the already legendary Florence Grand Prix, where Faith Kipyegon rightfully took the headlines for her world record in the women's 1500. But further down the bill was an absolutely stacked men's 5,000 metres. A whole host of runners were in contention after a not particularly fast opening, which led to an almighty battle in the final few laps. The thrilling finale was won by Spain's Mohamed Katir, but a record 13 athletes ran under 13 minutes. While Katir's time was not a world record, it was the strongest race for depth in history. Yomif Kjeldje, who came second in Florence, then went head-to-head with the returning Jake Kiplimo over 5,000 metres in Oslo. Kiplimo is the world cross-country champion, and some, myself included, have tipped the Ugandan to win at this year's World Championship over the 5,000 metres. But the Ethiopian Kjeldje this time came out on top in a winning time of 12 metres 41 after a titanic battle. And that was a world-leading time, but that world-leading status would fall in the very next Diamond League meeting in Lucerne, when we had the pick of the bunch in my opinion. Berihu Origari blew away a very good field to win in 12 minutes 40. The Ethiopian was incredible at the Swiss meeting. He seemed to get faster and faster with every lap of the track. Fellow Ethiopians, Telehun Bekele and Hagel Skeburit, were defeated, as was the world record holder Josh Cheptegei, but all three still clocked incredible times. 16 men have so far run under 13 minutes this year, and 6 have run under 12 minutes 50. Origari is the only 5 seconds shy of Cheptegei's world record, and there is real hope that that could go this year. And if the circuit excitement continues into the World Championships, then we are set for a race for the ages, and I cannot wait.